Welcome to the Architect My Life podcast. I'm Maya Schlachter, serial entrepreneur and CEO of the MGS Global Group, where we serve architecture and design firms with project delivery, such as drafting, 3D visualization, and graphics production support. I am also the founder of Architect My Life. My goal is to help creative entrepreneurs such as architects and other design-related professionals scale their business to 6 or 7 figures. I also show them how it's possible to do this while living a rich life outside their work, reclaiming time and energy for themselves and their families. Creatives were taught how to master their craft, but not taught how to run and grow a business. Each podcast episode features a different entrepreneur from the creative industry who shares their journey towards success. If you have a growth story that others in our community could benefit from hearing, stick around to the end of the show to see how you could be a guest in one of our future episodes. Now, let's dive into this episode.
Welcome to Architect My Life, where we interview creative entrepreneurs on their journey. I'm your host, Betty Quimby, and joining us today we have Erin Young. Erin is the founder of Slide UX, and it's one of the top 5 global UX firms since 2016. I'm so happy to have you, Erin. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So you kind of started it there. Thank you, Betty, and thanks for having me today. I'm Erin, and I am the founder of Slide UX. We're a user experience consultancy based in Austin, Texas, and we help product leaders design and research great product experiences.
Okay, awesome. Product design. Okay, so what, tell me a little bit more when you're talking marketing and like product design. I feel like this is a little different than the normal interviews that I've done that were based around architects specifically. So how do you link yourself as a creative? Like, tell me more about the product design.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our space is commonly equated with physical architecture in that we help plan experiences that other people are going to have to use and make use of. And we're doing that digitally, right? So the same way that physical architect is planning a construction project, we're planning a development project. Our projects are, of course, much easier to change once there's something out there, but they're still not free to change. And so our goal as designers is to make sure that we get as much of that planning right as we possibly can. And we really understand how well it's going to work for the people who are going to need to use it during the design process to save our clients the time that would be associated with making that change later after it's been developed.
Wow. So it's basically you're utilizing the technology side of architecture. So it's kind of like, instead of going through all that work of like building something, you can kind of look at it on the app and be like, oh, this isn't working, or we need to do this, this, and this. Is that kind of what it's like?
Actually, the thing that we're architecting is products, not necessarily, construction. In fact, not construction. Okay. So we're helping to plan product experiences, which could be anything from complicated websites that you use to do transactions during your business day, to software you have installed on your computer or software that you have installed on your mobile phone. It's information architecture is the label for this space, and was a title that many of us had early on as this field started to emerge. And it is basically just around making information usable and clear for those who need to use it.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. It's very unique and I've never heard anything about it. So I'm very interested in that. That's awesome. Okay, so tell me, when did you realize that you wanted to be a business owner, and how did that all play out?
I'm still a little bit skeptical of the whole business owner thing. So maybe someday I'll get to the point where I know that's what I want to do. But kidding aside, I was working full time, and I was working for an agency in which I became familiar with the concepts of, selling clients on our services and planning projects for them, and outsourcing and building teams of the right talent to fulfill those projects, and picked up many of that exposure and skills there. But I became really fascinated with the relationship between changes that we would make on our clients' experiences and how that would impact the performance of those experiences. So, for example, at a super simple level, let's say that there are 10 hyperlinks in a list. Maybe people aren't clicking, but we reduce that list from 10 to 3. You'd think you get even fewer clicks because there are fewer links. But in fact, if something is clearer and it makes more sense to the people reading it, they may be more likely to engage with it. And we could really drive results with the changes that we would make. So I knew I wanted to specialize in that specific thing. And I knew that there were clients that wanted it. That resulted in me taking the slight risk to become a contractor rather than a full-time employee, which turned into me planning project-based work rather than hourly work. And now having a team of 24.
Wow. I did look at your website and it was very impressive. And I love the pictures of the background. Everyone's in the background. I like that. It's like blurry in the background, but everyone is uniform. So that was very catching for me anyways when I was looking. So that's awesome. Wow. Okay. So cool. Well, what is the biggest challenge now that it's been, or just like growing your business? Like what has been the challenge? Because you really went from the bottom up. You're a private contractor and now here you are. What's been the biggest challenge?
Right. Yeah. There have been so many challenges along the way. But for me, one of the greatest challenges has been in understanding how other people want to receive information in order to be successful. As a person who I guess is entrepreneurial, I really value freedom. I really value the ability to kind of take a problem and solve it the way that I think makes the most sense. But what I've learned is that not everybody is wired in quite that same way. Some people really want to know exactly what's being asked of them so that they can know that they're performing the task right and they can understand upfront how success is going to be judged. And because that's not like my own personal problem solving process, I sometimes worry that I'm being that to take that approach would be to put constraints on the people that I'm working with that they wouldn't appreciate. So for me, I've really had to adjust my style to listen to what other people need from me as a leader, and sometimes do things in an order that doesn't feel natural to me, but because that's what they need to feel comfortable and to know that they're delivering, which is something that, of course, I absolutely respect.
Wow, that's so cool. I feel like I'm on the same page as you with the freedom. I operate very similarly. So when other people are like, we need to know exactly how, I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to see how it goes.
Right. Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, through you developing your business and even in your early on career, were there any mentors that you had or somebody who strongly influenced you in your career thus far?
Absolutely, there were. For me, I think there's always something special about other female leaders. And I've been lucky enough to have a few females in my life who have treaded very, very similar terrain and have been really eager to share their experiences with me. I think I can relate to it now that if I've made a mistake, then I'm eager to help somebody who might face that same risk, not make that same mistake. And that's what I've experienced with a few of them. So I have a friend who sold her company and now loves working for the company to whom she sold. And it's been fascinating to learn about everything that she experienced from growing her company to going through the transition that she went through. And another friend who continues to run a firm very similar to mine, but has made several different choices along the way that differentiate her firm from ours. And it's always been very useful for her to share the things that she's learned because she's always been a few steps ahead of us in terms of team size and years of experience. So she shares from, a lookout post up ahead, what I should be aware of and looking out for. And we sometimes are able to bypass some of the challenges that she's hit because of her advice.
That's awesome. I love that the community of like having all those people on your side. And even if they're doing the same thing, they still want you to win. Like you want each other to do well. So that's amazing. Okay, so speaking of the business and how it's going so far, how has COVID affected your business?
Yeah. So, I think that our business experienced some things that are probably pretty unusual compared to what many other businesses experienced. For one, we have always been a remote company. So when everybody had to shut down the offices and go home, we were already home. Um, Still, despite that advantage and the fact that we already had remote work figured out, we weren't used to working with our children at home. So for many of my team, that was still a big challenge. Um, on the side of our clients and what they were experiencing, the impacts were mixed. They were all over the place. We did have some clients whose businesses were severely impacted because they dealt with, say, restaurants or service and entertainment. Of course, that whole industry took a huge hit. But on the flip side, we had clients who were building digital products, and we needed to do a lot more things digitally than ever before. So for some of our clients, they were actually expediting their projects and increasing their investments. And we found that there was a lot of shifting that occurred, and we had to roll with the punches of that. But at the end of the day, it was more scary than it was anything else. The impacts to our business have been more personal with the challenges that life has dealt us than they have been financial challenges for the business, which is something that I'm very, very grateful for.
Yes, wow. I mean, if you already had the remote job thing, were you helping any of your maybe friends or in your business that maybe weren't remote? Like, were they calling you? Were you the next post ahead? Because they're like, oh my God, we're remote. We don't know what to do.
Yeah, it was funny because when it all hit, there was a lot of blog posting and podcast stuff about remote work. And we decided not to join in that echo chamber at that time. We had talked about remote work in the past, but because everybody had started to talk about it, it felt like we were going to be throwing pennies in a well if we were to start talking about that in our content. But as it wore on and a lot of our friends, businesses started to accept the fact that this was something that was going to be going on for a long time, it went from that cursory, let's write a blog post about working remotely for a little while, to like, no, we really need to figure this out. Like, how do you do it? And the conversations and the questions became more serious. So we did ultimately publish some content and also had several just one-on-one kind of consults with others. I've got to say, it created for us a tremendous amount of gratuity to our internal leader who has managed our people ops program and make sure that we always have interesting content to help connect people from across the country remotely, because I realized that it was due to all of her work that we weren't facing those challenges. And had others not been thrust into those challenges so suddenly, we may never have really seen the cumulative value that all of that programming had established for us. So it made us really grateful for the various ways that our company connects remotely.
Wow, what was that? The people ops? What is that? What is that?
People Ops is our program for culture at Slide.
Oh.
We've got things like payroll and benefits and like PTO stuff. That's the must do. But the People Ops program is about our programming. So our annual event where we get together, our weekly touch points and opportunities for kind of bonding and commiseration about work, and also like just trying to put some interesting stuff out there, because when you're doing remote, it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to get on Zoom and have a wine together. Not everybody's into that after a day of Zoom. So we've got to like find fun ways to mix it up. And People Ops is about discovering those and refining them.
I love that. Building relationships is so important in the workplace. And I love that. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So next question would be, what are the unexpected positive outcomes or lessons you've learned during this time? We kind of already talked about a little bit, but can you elaborate?
Yeah. I mean, I think that just having gone through it and having led through it and having tackled a hiccup of that type, for one, it gave me an appreciation for how important leadership is, because I saw our good leadership moments reflected back to us from a team that felt relieved that they could trust that things were under control. And the fact that things did manage to stay under control for us during such a tumultuous, traumatic thing as this whole pandemic, it helped me to see that we could lead through something like that, which is certainly one of the biggest challenges that we've ever experienced. And so I guess at the end of the day, it helped to improve my confidence in our ability to lead through difficult times and develop techniques for how to do that so that next time we're hit with something, we'll have a bag of tricks to turn to for how that's supposed to look. Whereas previously we didn't have a model for anything like that.
Why would you? There hasn't been a pandemic yet.
Right, exactly.
Wow. Okay, very cool. All right, so I love this question. All right, so what are the most important personality traits that you have or someone needs to have to run a successful business? So for all those people out there that are like, I really want to start a business, but I don't know if I have what it takes, or I'm just afraid to make that leap. What do you think would serve them well?
I think that one of the traits that I see that helps separate entrepreneurs from other people is optimism. I mean, you're taking a risk. You have to have a vision and you have to be willing to be so optimistic about your vision that even when others can't see it, that you can help paint that picture for them. Now, there's a balance because if it's just optimism, it can be something that isn't going to manifest. So it's not optimism alone. It has to be matched with the thoughtful, practical execution towards that optimism. But you're hit with a lot of blows as an entrepreneur that could tear you down. And there are a lot of reasons to think that that thing that you're seeing in your head isn't going to happen. So if you allow yourself to believe that it's not going to happen, you can't sustain it. You've got to believe. And that's where optimism, I think, really comes in.
Wow. I love that answer. I've heard all kinds of answers, but that one I wouldn't have even pulled that out of a hat. So I think that's definitely true. You got to believe in yourself first and then take the plunge, And then when people keep saying no, 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 keep on trucking.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Awesome. Okay. So within your design company or marketing, I'm like getting, say the words again of what it is again.
User experience design.
User experience design.
Yes.
Within the user experience design, what is your niche? Do you have a specific thing that you're really, really good at?
That's a great question. And in a way, like the UX space is a bit of a niche in and of itself. But I think that we're a particularly good fit for a client team that is trying to figure out what UX is going to mean for their company, because there are companies out there that already have UX departments. They need to augment that team. They might hire a UX firm to do that. On the flip side, there's probably also companies that just want to get UX tasks done, but they're not really trying to establish a program. They maybe aren't committed to maintaining that. We're a particularly good partner for a team that wants to collaborate with us and wants to do something that can be sustained beyond our project together. And so we're really looking for clients that are seeking a practical partner. We're going to try to find the most efficient way to give them what they need and to cut out the frills that they might view as unnecessary. But at the same time, a client that wants to collaborate with us and bring their business knowledge and their knowledge of the situation and the customer to the table, and then learn together about what we uncover through our work. So that at the end of our project, they can continue to build upon what we've learned together, because we're not going to be there forever. And we learn a lot about their customers. So we want to be sure that the things that we learn end up really getting put to good use even beyond our project together.
Wow. So you're basically giving them the tools to continue. That's awesome. So you're not like saying you need to rely on us so we keep making money off of this account. It's like you're doing the work and then setting them free.
That's the thing. Yes. And sometimes they do want to continue to work together, and that's fine. But for many businesses, if they're going to grow their need for these services, outsourcing the whole thing forever isn't the best approach. Now, it can be if their needs are intermittent and they have a project here that they should and want to make it a part of every project. And so with time, hopefully they can fill not one, not two, but like multiple people's plates with this type of work. And we want to be sure that when they start that process, they don't have to start over and start from scratch just because it's a new team, that it's the foundation has been laid for them.
Yes, that's awesome. Very, very good. Okay, we're about to wrap up. I've got two more short questions before we end our time, and I would really like to know what your dream project is within your business. Like or a dream client that you'd really like to work with, or is there something out that they're like, oh, I really want to get my hands on that? What's your dream project or dream client? Something around those lines.
I think we're working on a dream project right now, which is that we're really standardizing the way that we work with our clients so that we can plan more accurately, estimate more quickly. And so our team knows exactly what our process is going to be every time. We've come off of a long run of having done custom work for each client every time. Even though a lot of the techniques that we're pulling from are really similar, they were always combined in different orders and with different constraints. And we're simplifying that. And it's challenging, but we've already had really, really great results of doing that. And for me, I'm really excited about the promise that it offers, not only for our clients, but also for our team, because there are a lot of people that aspire to do what we do. And there's a lot of emerging applicants. Like if we put out an entry-level position, we would be bombarded with opportunities. But the only way that those entry-level candidates can be successful is if somebody's willing to teach them. And I believe that with our process, we're going to have a good way of teaching them what the process is, and they can contribute high quality results by acting inside of it. So I'm really excited about where that's headed. It's designing our business so that we can help our clients design their products.
Nice. It's like a system. You got a system that works. I love it. And you're applying it. That is so great. Well, before we end our session here, Erin, I lastly want to ask you, where do you see your firm in 3 years?
Oh, that's a great question. One thing that I'm very excited about here for our firm is the way that we've really begun to share leadership. I mean, I started this when I was quite young. I had so much to learn, and we're finally getting to the point where I rely on my management team to help make all of our tough decisions. And I know that they understand the challenges that our business is facing and that they're aligned on the decisions that we're making. That's been hugely empowering for me. And it also offers a huge opportunity for each of them to participate in designing the business that they're going to be working in the future as well. And so in 3 years, what I'm most excited about is seeing that continue to develop. I think our team will grow, and it will require a larger and larger need for strong leadership. And I think that we've got a great team here to contribute to that. And so really seeing where that takes us.
That's amazing. Wow. Well, thank you so much, Erin. I would love to tell our listeners, our audience, where to find you if they have any more questions about your business. Could you please give us your email contact or LinkedIn or whatever you choose?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is slideux.com, and there on our website, you can, of course, find information about our services, but we also offer a weekly newsletter called The Brief that includes tips and inspiration for product leaders who are trying to improve product experiences and living the daily life of product leadership. We hope that it offers a dose of insight and, again, inspiration for people that it appeals to. So definitely check out The Brief at slideux.com.
Thank you so much. SlideUX, SLIDEUX.com.
That's right.
Erin Young. Thank you so much, Erin. You've been a pleasure. And thank you for being here.
Thanks for your time today, Betty.
Thank you for listening to the Architect My Life podcast. We'd love to hear from you on social media using the hashtag Architect My Life podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Aya_Architect My Life. That's Aya, AYA_Architect My Life. And for women firm owners, I invite you to join the Architect My Life private Facebook group. If you haven't already, we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to the show, as well as rate or review us wherever you access podcasts. And if you think you have something to add to the conversation through your success running a business, we invite you to apply to be a guest in one of our upcoming episodes. Visit architectmylife.com/podcast to learn more. Maybe you're not in a position to share your success story yet. That's okay. Take your business to the next level with our coaching and online courses. Get everything you need at architectmylife.com. Remember, there is a way to manage it all so you can achieve more. I'm Maya Schlachter. Thanks again for listening.